Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Monday morning. We get some more information and news coming out regarding the Michigan sign stealing saga. And I think there's a lot of y'all that are looking at me and saying, well, the boys don't normally talk about the sign stealing saga. And look, that's very true. Now, the reason we don't do a ton of talking about the sign stealing saga is a lot of the rhetoric around the sign stealing saga up until this point is a lot of what ifs. There's not a ton of substance to talk about regarding this situation. Now, we wake up Monday morning, we have something to talk about. When there's something of substance to talk about, we will certainly talk about it. But I have very little interest getting up here and trying to predict what the NCAA is going to do. That has proven to be very difficult over the last couple of years. And I have very little interest getting up here and talking to you guys about something that I don't know a ton about. When we have things that we know about, we'll talk about it. In Monday morning, we have some information that we know. And I think we got to talk about how it impacts Michigan, what it might mean for the rest of the sign stealing saga to come down the pipeline. Now, I want to start with this. Y'all let it fly in the comment section. To me, this is what makes college football the best sport on the planet. I also happen to be a college wrestling fan, an Iowa Hawkeye wrestling fan. And there were a lot, and their rivals with Penn State. And this weekend, Penn State had a wrestler that was fighting in the UFC, and a lot of Penn State fans claimed that the Iowa fans were taking the rivalry too far because they weren't rooting for Bo Nickel, who was a former Penn State wrestler in his UFC fight. And I was looking at all the conversation that was going on Twitter and saying, man, y'all don't understand what a rivalry is. Like, you look, as Iowa Hawkeye fan, you can't root for the Penn State Cat. I'm sure Michigan fans understand where I'm coming from. Ohio State fans, Auburn fans, Alabama fans, USC fans. The college football fans that live and breathe this sport as fans understand that, rivalries are 365 days a year. And so I know in the comment section, it's probably going to be a little bit of a bloodbath. I would encourage the college football fans to let it fly in the comment section. Everybody's got a different take on this situation. That's what makes this sport great. So y'all let it fly in the comment section. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Hey, many of y'all know that I am a Michigan fan. I'm going to do my best in this conversation to, hey, take off the blue and maize tinted glasses, and let's talk about what this means for Michigan, what this means for the sign stealing saga as a whole. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, what is the suspension going to look like for Sherrone Moore? It's going to be a 2-game suspension, self-imposed by the Michigan program. That's going to be week 3 and week 4. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of college football fans that maybe haven't looked at the Michigan schedule and saying, well, why is it week 3 and week 4? Why is it not week 1 and week 2? Well, I think a lot of Michigan fans who've looked at the schedule probably know the reason, right? Week 2, Michigan goes on the road to play the Oklahoma Sooners in Norman. Sherrone Moore wants to be on that plane, wants to be on the sideline, especially when you start having the conversation of Michigan's probably going to be starting a true freshman quarterback in his first road start at the collegiate level against the Brent Venables coach defense. And so I think when Sherrone Moore's looking at when does he want to get suspended, he probably doesn't want to have it week 2. Now, the 2 games that Sherrone Moore is going to be suspended for, Central Michigan at home week 3, on the road against Nebraska week 4, excuse me. There is a difference between the suspension that Sherrone Moore is going to have to deal with in 2025 versus what we saw from Jim Harbaugh back in the 2023 season. And that is, Sherrone Moore is not allowed to participate in any team-related activities in the week prior to the football game. Now, for Jim Harbaugh, it was like he was the sitting head coach for 6 out of the 7 days of the week. He just couldn't be on the sideline on Saturday on game day. A little bit different for Sherrone Moore because he's not allowed to participate in anything leading up into these 2 games. I believe he's not even allowed to be in the facility. Now, the second question is, all right, why is it self-imposed? If Michigan claims they didn't do anything wrong, why is Michigan self-imposing a punishment related to the sign-stealing allegations? I think partially it's like, look, I don't think Michigan is claiming that they didn't do anything wrong. They got caught doing it, And I think what from a Michigan standpoint, why are they self-imposing it? They want to get through this situation as quick as possible. Because when you have this dark cloud looming over the program, that is the sign stealing saga. We don't know what the punishments are going to look like. It probably gets hard to recruit players to your program. I think from a Michigan standpoint, if we can self-impose a punishment and quickly come to a resolution for this sign stealing saga, the quicker the better for Michigan as a program. And I think the second thing is like I there are some Michigan fans that probably come from it from a perspective of, well, every other program's doing it. Why is Michigan, you know, taking the fall for it, if you might say? Oh, Michigan got caught doing it. That's a very big part of it. It was so I think when you look at why is it self-imposed, I think the general, at least me reading through the tea leaves, I think you're seeing a self-imposed punishment so Michigan can quickly navigate the rest of this sign stealing saga and kind of get the cloud away from over top of the program. Number three, what will it look like for Michigan on game day, week 3 and week 4? I think it's kind of interesting, right? I mean, you have Chip Lindsay, your new offensive coordinator, who has been a sitting head coach before at Troy. And so he is certainly capable of handling some of the head coaching duties on game day in the week leading up. You have Wink Martindale, who's about as veteran of a football coach that you'll see at any level of football, no doubt capable of kind of sharing the load of the head coaching duties. The name that I would pay attention to if I'm a Michigan fan is Biff Poach. I think if you're Michigan, you're saying, hey, Chip Lindsay, I want you to continue to call the offense and focus on calling the plays for the offense. Wink Martindale, you focus on your defensive coordinator duties and calling the defense. Biff Poach is a guy that has been a sitting head coach at Charlotte, is largely just in an advisor role of Sherrone Moore on staff, guy with head coaching experience that doesn't have a ton of duties on game day. To me, that's the perfect candidate to take over the head coaching duties for the weeks of Sherrone Moore's suspension because he doesn't have any, on-field duties on game day, and he has experience being a head coach and a leader of the program. We'll kind of interested to see how that shakes out. And then what's next? I think ideally for the Michigan program, it's, hey, we're self-imposing a punishment here. Hopefully this can quickly lead to a resolution where we can kind of just get back to your regularly scheduled program, if you will, and not have this sign stealing saga and what the punishments might be kind of looming over this Michigan program. I think that's the goal for Michigan is we just want to, we want to get through this and we want to get back to business as usual. Is that going to be the case? We're going to find out. I think from the report, I believe, and again, it gets really tricky trying to predict what the NCAA is going to do. I believe that there's going to be a final resolution to this situation prior to kicking off in 2025, which I think is a personally good thing for Michigan. I think it's a good thing for the sport, kind of just moving on from this situation as a whole. And I know there's a lot of different fans that have different opinions on what the punishment should look like. I'm going to reserve my take as a Michigan fan because it don't matter what I think. It matters kind of what the NCAA is going to do, and it matters what the NCAA thinks. All right, y'all let it fly in the comment section. I'll get down there with y'all. Again, I'm sure there's going to be some Michigan fans getting active. I'm sure there's going to be some Ohio State fans getting active. I would not want to have it any other way. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.